Hey, Shalom Markin is Rakam Parsham and James London, giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Chachodash. Want to give double honors unto the elders, the apostles of GMS, and Shalom out there to the hopeful elect, pushing this truth in all sincerity. Back in another video, and brothers sent this I guess it's a tweet, right? In the chat, and someone was pointing out something that's should be really painfully obvious to everybody, right? That these world leaders, especially Trump, right, is lying, right, to the people of the world, right? Primarily their own their own citizens, their own people, right? But yet the whole world is still going along where everything these devils are doing, right? You know, and maybe for a few exceptions with them dudes right now, they're opening up outside the outside the White House and that kind of stuff, doing mad ones, right? But even that is controlled, opposition, right? But the majority of people are just along for the ride, right? They're not trying to do nothing. They ain't trying to stop this dude. I say even though there's those guys that are running up and shooting shells, right, and that kind of stuff, right? They're set up, right? Because Esau's gonna crack down on the people, man, severely, right? Because you people can't be trusted. Because you're mentally ill. You just you're against if you're against Trump and whatever he's doing, you're mentally ill, and all this kind of business. So but they're all lying, and Trump's just the highest level of liar right now, right, on the global scale, but he ain't like what is he doing? What is he doing to really help the American people or help the world? Nothing. Just lies upon lies upon lies. He's crooked. But they say no one's doing anything about it, right? Because he's got to do his job. They got him in there to do a job, to to deceive the whole world. Okay, well these might have been doing that from forever, but but specifically with this devil, right? He's just here to usher in the new world order, even though that's something that he was supposed to be against, right? But he's doing everything that he's doing everything to really bring it in. All right. So I want to read this tweet here, whatever it is, right? And it says, among the most frequently repeated claims is that tariffs are paid by foreign countries, a statement economists and fact checkers consistently flag as misleading, since it is U.S. importers, not foreign exporters, who pay the tariffs, and those costs are often passed directly to the American consumers. Yeah, that's why the prices of all your shit is going up. And Trump will point a finger and blame everybody else why your food and your energy and all these different things, why they're going up. Because this guy's made some crazy promises, man. he was telling everyone's gonna be richer than they've ever been. You have so much money, you're not gonna know what to do with it, bro. How is that gonna materialize? How is that materializing? People got having less money than they ever had. They might be working out how they're gonna get food. They're trying to find things. They're trying to get. They might. He said you won't know what to do with it, bro. That's all they can do is buy food. They ain't got no extra money to do anything. While this guy's out here starting wars and pushing up prices globally. So on the economy, Trump falsely claimed that the price of bacon quadrupled and apples doubled under Biden. Federal statistics show bacon rose. It's funny, it's bacon, right? Fucking baconites. Federal statistics show bacon rose roughly 19% and apples roughly 7%, right? So these guys, just flat out liars. And you can't trust this dude. Hell no, you can't trust any of them. But like, of all the people to trust, thinking that he's gonna change the country, this is the worst candidate ever, right? For someone you can trust. All right. So on Iran, he repeatedly asserted these June 2025 strikes had obliterated Iran's nuclear capabilities, a claim contradicted by internal White House documents. The International Atomic Energy Agency and media fact checkers alike, right? Perhaps his most enduring falsehood is the claim that the 2020 election was stolen from him. a charge that formed the basis of two separate criminal indictments, listing dozens of specific false statements about the election results. PolitiFacts editors went so far as to label 2025 the year of the lies, the year of deception, the year of the devil, right? Citing an unusually high volume of repeated falsehoods across immigration, the economy, and foreign policy, right? So this guy's just a born liar, you know, which all these Edomites are, right? But yeah, you're being constantly lied to, constantly, right? And yet he's allowed to do it, you know? Ain't nobody pulling him up. Everyone knows he's lying. Everybody knows he's lying. You got a few Trump hopefuls out there, you know, thinking that he's better in the country and all that shit. But the majority of people know know he's lying and can't do a damn thing about it. They're not doing a damn thing about it, you know. But he's out here to frustrate people, and like I say, he's going to use those incidences with the shootings and stuff like that to, you know, really push an agenda against the people, because, like, you know, his life's at risk, right? And, you know, there's crazy people out there, you know, doing crazy things, and so he's going to have the excuse, you know, like he's using, you know, like he was using the ICE agents to crack down on immigration and all that, you know, all that palaver, right? He's going to, you know, use these things against just the average citizen, you know, because you're frustrated, or you know, the message would be this, you know, the reason would be this, that, you know, you're frustrated and, you know, this and that, right? You don't believe in your president, right? But the evidence shows you, man, that, you know, Trump's destroying America. Trump's destroying the world, right? But that's exactly what he's there to do. Everything that he came in on, all the things that he promised, man, he ain't doing. He lied himself. He faked it till he made it, like everybody else in this world. All right, but let's get some scriptures. I don't want to make this too long, right? It's Nahum chapter 3 verse 1. It says, "Woe to the bloody city," right, which is America, Babylon the Great, right? It is full of lies. Yeah, the people that ruled it do nothing but lie. They're children of Satan, right? The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Yes, of course they're gonna lie. They've been lying, right? Woe to the bloody city, it is full of lies, and robbery the prey departeth not, right? So again, it's a bloody land built of witchcraft, built of blood and witchcraft, and deception. You know, it's Psalms 58 verse start from the top. So, do ye indeed speak righteousness, O congregation? Do ye judge uprightly, O ye sons of men? Yeah, Trump's supposedly the most powerful man on the planet, because he runs America, the most powerful nation on the planet, right? And they're meant to be like a beacon of righteousness, right? Beacon of light in the world, as they, you know, portray themselves, right? But everything they do is contrary to that, right? They don't judge uprightly. Okay, they produce false narratives to portray themselves as righteous. That's it. That's the only thing that they do, right? But these men are not righteous, right? It says, "Yea, in heart ye work wickedness," right? That's really what's in them: wickedness, evil. Again, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. So if Trump is the most powerful man on the planet, supposedly, because he's the president, even though there's people way more powerful than him behind the scenes, right? He's the one being set up in front of you as your king. All right. It says, your heart, in your heart you work wickedness, you weigh the violence of your hands in the earth, right? That's why they're always out there, you know, doing war crimes, right? They're always out there, you know, making war with people, right? Because they're blessed with that sword, right? They always talk about how great their military is, because he was blessed, you know, to be able to kill and destroy. All right. So the wicked are estranged from the womb; they go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies, right? So, you know, Trump is an Edomite, right? So he's of that stock of liars, right? He's the wicked, right? And they're estranged from the womb, right? They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. So from birth, right, these devils are set up to be deceivers and liars. Right? Some are better at it than others, but they all lie. You know, and it's weird. Like he's cold faced lies, right? But it sounds ridiculous. He lies about damn everything. There's like, it's like, why would you lie about that? It's so blatantly obvious it's a fucking lie, but he'll lie about it anyway, because he just that he what do they call that there's a word for it. You know, they just intuitively just lie. I can't pick the word right now. I don't know. I can't think of it right now. But yeah, he just is an inherent liar. He just can't help himself, right? He just wants to lie every time. You know, that's why when you listen to it talk, it just sounds ridiculous. And like people know he's lying, but like, you know, he just shuts man down. You're fake news and this and that, and he, you know, but no one's doing anything about it, because the world is being put in a docile state for the moment, to allow them to do what they're doing. Right? When I said that, you know, things are gonna heat up, man, when you know food supplies start running super low, or your money's, you know, being inflated to high heaven, right? People are gonna start becoming more disgruntled, right? And it won't be just, you know, the FF, you know, the F flags, you know, that these men are setting up. It will be for real. Some of these guys will lose this. Is gonna lose their shit, right? And go buck wild. Right? America's gonna become a super violent place. You know, you might think it's a super violent place already. It's gonna about to get even more so. All right, America's gonna collapse, right? And it's gonna get real hellish. You know, there. You know, it says the wicked are strange from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born speaking lies. Their poison is like the poison of a serpent, right? They are like the deaf adder that stoppeth her ear, which will not hearken to the voice of charmers, charming never so wisely. Break their teeth, O Most High, in their mouth. Break out the great teeth of the young lions, O Lord. Let them melt away as waters, which run continually, which he bendeth his bow to shoot his arrows. Let them be cut, be as cut in pieces. All right, so this is what they do, right? They just lie, right? And the lies are just becoming more and more ridiculous, and the PR just becomes more and more ridiculous to cover it, or try to cover it. Right, this is Jeremiah 9 verse 3. It said that, and they bend their tongues like their bow for lies. But they are not valiant for truth. These Edomites not about telling the truth and doing righteousness. They're about covering things up, man. Right, so they always have to lie to cover those things up, to sell you their narratives. You know, but the Most High gonna, you know, unravel all of that. Okay, with the truth, right? So they are not valiant for the truth upon earth, for they proceed from evil to evil, and they know not me, saith the Lord, right? And again, this is originally speaking about the children of Israel, but, you know, Esau doing the same thing. This is Micah chapter 6, verse 12. It says, for the rich men thereof are full of violence. Yeah, right? All these politicians and these people in these high places, where they're rich. Right? Trump's rich, right? He might not be an elite at the top level, but you know, he got money, man. Right? And these are all the guys that are making decisions for the little man. Right? We're gonna go war and send your children to war and this and that, and you know, we want oil and we want this, and you know, they're the ones making all these decisions. Right? And they don't give a damn about the poor. Right? So they're full of violence because they're greedy, they want more. Right? For the rich men are full of violence, and the inhabitants thereof have spoken lies. Okay, so they're going to spin whatever lie or whatever narrative that they need to justify what they're doing. Okay, that's what the rich are going to do. Right? These people of power are going to do. Right? And so none of them can be trusted, because they're not got, you know, the people's interests at heart. Right? And say Trump is just the one that just takes the piss the most. Because like I say, he'll lie about everything. There's not one word that comes out of his mouth that is true. Everything is bullshit, gaslighting and all kinds of shit. You know what I mean? He just full of shit, literally, right? So, so they the habits thereof have spoken lies, and their tongue is deceitful in their mouth. All right, so they are the things that they say can't be trusted. Revelation chapter 18, verse 23, and the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee, and the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be no more heard at all in thee. This is America. America's going to be destroyed. Nothing going to be there no more, right? For thy merchants were the great men of the earth, for by thy sorceries were all nations deceived, right? The lies is part of the sorcery, but the men actually do actual witchcraft too, right? But it's all deception, it's all illusion, right? All of this that they're doing, the media, right? It's all witchcraft to deceive people, to deceive the world. Okay, this is what Esau has created or is doing. Again, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, and these Edomites are the ones in power, the so-called white people. Right? So it's them. There ain't nobody else. Right? All nations were deceived because of the lies. Right? So in her was found the blood of prophets and of saints and of all that was slain upon the earth. Okay, again, speaking about the land of America. Okay, that's why there's a great judgment coming to it. This is John 8, chapter 8, verse 44 says, ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father you will do. He was a murderer from the beginning. So who is he referencing to? Cain. What did Cain do? Aside from murdering his brother, he lied about it. he just flat out lied about it, knowing exactly full well what he did. He lied to the Most High. Okay, a power that knows everything. He lied. He had the audacity to lie. This is how much of a liar he is, bro. He can't help it. Like he's gonna say whatever, whenever. And he's gonna try his best to hoodwink you, man. Right? But for some of us that know and understand who and what he is, we don't buy none of his shit. We don't believe none of the things he says. Right? But there's been a lot of people that have been fooled in the world by his deception over the years that he's been in power. Right? Not even just Trump, you know what I mean? Everything that this guy's been doing since he's been in power, since the Renaissance period, even before then, you know what I mean? But yeah, from that point, really, the rebirth, like, and all the lies and deceptions that he's put up along the way to build himself into this superior being, as he likes to think himself to be, right? It's all been lies and deception, man, and people have believed it, right? So people have this idea of Esau that's just not true. The fact that he's not even Esau, is a lie. He calls himself everything else, but he ain't no Edomite. But that's what he is, right? So everything's just built upon, everything that he's built is based upon a lie, right? And it's all going to come crashing down. All right. So again, ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father you would do. He was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. Right? He's the wicked. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. Right? He's a product of Satan. Right? A liar, a deceiver. And so I'm going to end that with this. This is Sirach chapter 12 and verse 10. Never trust thine enemy. Right? And this is what people don't understand, that Esau is the enemy to everyone. Right? Primarily us, but like Esau, he's not about life at all. Right? He's anti-life. And so he's a threat to everybody. Right? He don't care about anybody. Everybody is collateral. Everybody's a sacrifice to him, right? And he don't care. Right? So he's an enemy to everybody ultimately. But he's calls people to trust him. But he's the devil. All right, so never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou had wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust have not been altogether wiped away. Right? So yeah, he can put on the facade that he's nice, he's a nice guy, he cares about people, he's a philanthropist now. I'll put bare mans in slavery and just murdering, mass murdering people, but I'm a philanthropist now. I care about the planet. I care about people. For what? What are you talking about? You just mass murdering a bunch of, the Native Americans, you know? You put Jake in cargo slave ships, man, brutalizing them, abusing them for centuries. What the fuck you want about? You ain't no nice guy. Right? You ain't no fucking nice guy. Man are benefiting from all this wickedness and you're posing around like you're a nice guy. You're not a nice guy. Okay, you're not righteous. Right? But you've convinced others that, I'm not the same, you polish yourself up, the rust it's not showing right now. But it's there. Okay? Just give it time, it will surface again. Right? But you convinced others that, you're not the same, not the same guy that was doing all this mad evil in the earth. Man was doing experiments on people. This guy's doing too much, man. But yeah, we're supposed to believe he's a nice guy. But anyway, and thou shalt know that his wrath have not been altogether wiped away. Set him not by thee, lest when ye have overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. But yet, man's vote for these people to be in power. People trusting them to make a change and a difference for the better. People befriend them, thinking that their friendship's legit. So it's all deception, man. All right. It says, set him not by thee, lest when he have overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith. All right. So who will pity your charmer that is bitten with a serpent, or any such come nigh wild beasts? So one that goeth to a sinner and is defiled with many sins, who will pity? Right, because you should know better than to mess around with snakes. Right? So the saying goes with the sinner, the evil man, right? The wicked. You don't hang with them. You don't deal with them. Right? For a while he will abide with thee, but if thou begin to fall, he will not tarry. And the enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, right? And so, like I said, Esau will have all the right things to say, to make you feel safe around him. So you can let your guard down, so he can take advantage. That's all it's about. So he can take advantage. Esau loves to take advantage. All right. He speaks sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. It's just a ploy to get you where he wants you, man. All right, to put you in that position of weakness. Yeah, that's all Esau's doing. He will weep with his eyes, but if you find opportunity, he would not be satisfied with blood. If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. Right? And though he pretend to help thee, yet shall he undermine thee. Right? So that, again, that's all he's doing. Putting himself in a stronger position over you. Right? He will shake his head and clap his hands and whisper much and change his countenance. Okay, you're going to see that rust. Right? You're going to see what he really is. Corrupt. He's corrupt. He's a corrupted being. Right? He's the wicked. Right? He don't do right. He can only act right, but he don't do right. All right, but he don't even act right, well. But he ain't gonna do right in the end. He's the devil, right? He's the deceiver, and like I say, he's just trying to gain position on you, right? And so yeah, he promised you the world, so he can get a position on you. And now he's running. It's always been running, but he's running the game for the elites to set up the new world order. And you thought he was against all of that. Well, doesn't look like it, does it? Right? He doesn't give a fuck what the American people think. Not one little bit of care, bro. Right? He's in power now. You're gonna have to deal with it. Right? And that's it. You don't care what he promised you. And he will continue he'll continue to lie to you as he goes along, about completing the agenda of the elites. That's what he's gonna do. All right, but I'm gonna end it there. Lord, this has been edifying, and I'll catch you brothers and sisters on the next video. Until next time, I say shalom.